Once again, it's time for Indie 5, where we go through with 5 different albums with not so big names and or older bands, older releases that is. We'll start with just basic heavy metal from United Kingdom with a band called Dethonator. What a nice wordplay. As you can see, this is kind of a Bat Out of Hell kind of a cover. And as you can see, the name is Race Against the Sun Part 1. What does that exactly mean? Let's get into that right in a few seconds. As you can see, very vinyl-like CD print here. Nice design, by the way. And again, the bat emerges once again. And then we have track list here, 10 tracks. Just very kind of a typical output by this band. So it's time to take a look on this booklet. You can see the lyrics here. Pause if you have to. So this band was founded already quite a few years ago, and this band has been active, releasing quite a few releases, and the style is very pretty heavy metal. Not exactly a power metal related, not so much thrash or speed metal, but that kind of a generic, very honest, very basic heavy metal, one could say. Thing here is, these guys are doing just everything by the school book. There are no weird gimmicks, there are no weird jumps of the genre. Basically, vocalist is doing fine with clean stuff and skilled enough. There are also some more growly parts, and those combined with the melodic parts remind me of Amenomoth, which is then again kind of a melodic death metal with kind of a Viking theme. So it's a weird combo for a heavy metal band to just, do those weird jumps. I mean, they're not a bit much, but still. But other than that, there is no just, going off the genre. It is melodic heavy metal the United Kingdom way. That is British way. And as such, it's hard to say that Dethonator is doing anything wrong. But to be honest, they're not doing very captivating work here. Everything is just like, yeah, this is easy to listen to, whether I'm into Judas Priest or Iron Maiden or, I don't know, other bands. It's just like, yeah, guys, I know where you're going, but you are not creating very catchy songs, catchy melodies. You're not creating memorable riffs which just spontaneously, instantaneously come to in my mind when I'm, I don't know, shopping groceries or driving a car or whatever. This is just one of those albums that's like, very nice to listen to, but you'll forget it as soon as it's over. So, no cigar for these guys. Very much the same genre, but maybe half a step sideways is a band called Iron Fire. This is Beyond the Void, 9th album by this Danish band of, heavy metal, power metal legacy. To be honest, I didn't find so many power metal elements here, even though some people have suggested that this is power metal, heavy metal hybrid. To me, this is just pure heavy metal in a good way. Now, when I would compare this to Dethonator, is that these guys are creating way more catchy songs. Vocals are a little bit better, production pretty much the same level, maybe a little bit better, but just overall feeling is like these guys are more experienced, they know what they're doing, and well, that's a fact. These guys are older, this band has been there for quite a while, and as you can pretty much figure out, band having out 9 full-length albums, they are no newbies no more. They know what's going on, how to create riffs and songs for people into heavy metal, power metal, even with some thrash metal influence. Not too aggressive, not too laid back, but kind of tightrope walking, where the heavy metal is just rolling nicely and smoothly. To be honest, this album could be also quite a bit more catchier, it's not like this is the next Iron Maiden, but then again, to compare to such bands, I could say I'd rather listen to new Iron Fire than the latest Iron Maiden album. And the thing is, while these guys are not creating anything wonderful or spectacular as such, at least they're not creating uber lengthy album with just boring and too lengthy tracks. This is just some 45-minute album, 44 actually, which is just running nicely. And that when you divide into 12 tracks pretty much make sense. They are like 3 minute, 4 minute tracks, which are just, leaving the office before you get bored to them. They're just like right on point kind of a heavy metal. It's kind of a food which you order in a restaurant. You're not exactly like, wow, this is the best stuff I've ever had, but it's delivering what it promises to. You're not hungry anymore for heavy metal. You're just like, oh man, I'm stuffed. And while this wasn't the best meal I've ever had, at least I'm fulfilled and satisfied. Iron Fire delivers, but doesn't, break the bank. What next? Let's take a look. The third band in question comes from Finland. It's called Asphodelus, a band name previously unknown to me, I must admit. This is a relatively new band, coming out with their debut album called Stygian Dreams. As you can probably figure out, this is not one of those really dark albums with black metal aesthetics, but more, say, kind of a gothic, kind of a dark metal vibe, kind of a melodic death metal and all that stuff. I could say early Rotting Christ, but maybe even more melodic and kind of a gothic style would be somewhere near where this band is coming from. I could even say there are bands like Catatonia and maybe some Swedish melodic death metal bands which are related to this. So very kind of a nostalgic way. And not only because of these musical references, I mean in terms of riffs and compositions as such, but also because of the production here. Now, this album feels quite nostalgic, and for a while it carries on with it quite easily. But to be honest, given a few more spins, this album turns out to be exactly what I just said. It feels nostalgic because it feels kind of a days of days of youth, when things were just, every album was like new and blah blah blah. It doesn't matter if it was that good or not. But to be honest, it turns out to be kind of a one-trick pony. Not even single song is really that good. And while I kind of like this band going a little bit retro here, I must say I was a little bit disappointed in the end. The album can hold only so long, with its reminiscent of those older bands. But is it actually good? To be honest, no. Mediocre plus if I had to give a sort of a rating, but cannot really recommend it to, except for really acquired taste. The people who are all about old Paradise Lost, Running Christ, I don't know, Tiamat, Catatonia, whatever worship. So if you have a soft spot for those, sure, give it a chance. Otherwise, proceed with caution. The worst of the whole in5 here today is probably this one. Well, not only probably, it is this Belgium band. I don't know. This is something that goes wrong in so many ways. Thronum Vrondor. Actually, the name already is one of those kind of hipstery feelings. Album called Ichor and Rebellion. I don't know, but there's something that kind of alerts me right on the spot. Now, this is not exactly a black metal album as such. You know how most people feel black metal is all about kind of a Nordic stuff, but this is more of a combination. There's some similarities with the Asphodelus one, but this is different. Not so much maybe melodic death metal, but kind of to the Rotting Christ section, but not just doing that. But this music is actually something that fails to grasp what made those albums so great. Like everything is just like, I don't know, Paradise Lost or Rotting Christ or whatever, leftovers. Just not a single good riff here, to be honest. And I hate to say it because it's not like I don't like good music, but this to me feels like these guys have absolutely no clue how to make good song. Everything feels like a kind of a demo recording. Like this might grow into something big if we just hone and polish and work on it for quite a bit, but it never goes there. And as such, the result is that this album, after a few spins, starts to feel really like, man, stick to the demos. Keep rehearsing, keep practicing, keep just get producers something. And while it's not totally horrible, it's not even a mediocre album. Sorry for that. So I would rather skip it instead of wasting my time on that. But that's only my opinion. Feel free to disagree. Feel free to hate. Whatever. Last, but definitely not least, is an interesting, kind of a weird release by two bands. This is Split MCD, which as such is not a typical release these days, but more so because this is actually a cover release. 4 cover songs by 2 bands, one from Colombia, one from Spain. If not only that is a little bit weird, this old school death metal album features 2 songs from Swedish bands, Unleashed and Entombed, and one from Death and one from what else? Pestilence, of course. So Pánico al Miedo from Spain and Sol de Sangre from Colombia. Medellin, the famous cocaine city back in the 80s. As you can spot on the cover, there's this leprous guy, which is clearly a reference to death, as is the whole cover, as you can pretty much figure out the details. Really nice homage work, a sort of a tribute. So 2 bands, 4 songs, 4 bands covered. The thing is, these guys did these covers in Spanish. So this is really weird kind of a release. Not a single original song, but all covers, all in Spanish. I don't know what to make of it. Well, let's put it this way. All these cover songs are nicely done. Everything, from production to the growling vocals, top-notch work. To be honest, these are probably one of the better covers to be made of such great songs. But is this actually, offering any actual value, for your time or money? Come on, you probably have that Dismember or Death or Unleash or whatever in your shelf. So why would you get this if not for the fun or sake of it being kind of a weird idea? I don't know. These songs, in my opinion, could have been included as bonus tracks for future recordings, but to be released on a MCD split with no original content at all makes very, very little sense to me. But then again, who I am to judge? Maybe you're a collector who wants just some unique, some rare stuff, and if such, maybe you should get this to your collection. But if you only want good original material, there's very little reason to get this one. So, what can I say? Interesting, and in terms of good music, definitely nice one. But since it's no original content, kind of leaves me puzzled why this was released commercially in the first place. Well, that concludes our Indie 5. So some new interesting bands, some not so interesting ones. Are there any of your favorites? Rauta signing off and looking forward to your comments.